Good morning, everyone. How are people doing? Uh, are we ready for some cuddling stuff? Hi, Tinkwish. And hello, Malice. Yeah, check and see that. Oh, okay. Hi, Tabby. Okay. I'm not sure I like this formatting. What? Delay came back? Okay, let me test. What? Okay. I just tested that. Oh. Just getting that sorted out. I will. That's a long delay. So something about having streaming running is causing this. Let me measure the delay, and that we can handle that very quickly here. Okay. How long is this delay? Oh my gosh. Okay, this is. Oh gosh. Testing. Okay, so this has to be okay. Testing. Testing 1 2 3. Testing. Okay. This doesn't make any sense. So here's the deal. There. 2:14. So my delay is almost 2 seconds, which is a problem because, and it's on the mic itself somehow. Oh my God. There's, okay, let me try this. Testing. Testing. Do we have a delay? Okay. It doesn't look like I have a delay. Hold on. Okay. That is no latency. That seems to be working. Okay. Thank you guys for hanging tight during that. Um, I mean, there's probably maybe like 10 milliseconds, but you're not going to notice that, especially when I'm streaming 30 frames per second, you probably won't even like see that much detail. But there was a hardware issue of some kind. It's just like my mic decided that it wanted to delay it, or my audio interface. I just unplugged the audio interface and it's fine now. So we were here looking at right. Okay, so I ended up not actually going with a poll for the nouns, and now I'm coming back here to the notes. And it looks like I had forgotten that I even made this note here that we were going to do oblique from the benefactive, going to oblique to accusative for animate nouns, locative to accusative for inanimate low animacy nouns. I think that's cool, and I think that's what we'll do, actually. So this is going to be with one caveat that let's see. Let's say that well, no. Let me think. Just thinking up or down. If we go with that, so the other thing I was thinking about was whether, like, locative in certain dialects, or maybe in just the winter dialect, would remain as a prepositional case. But I actually don't necessarily want that. I'm thinking look at our prepositions. So I think all of them have a correlative meaning. Yeah, I'm going to leave it this way. I think that prepositions are just going to take the nominative just because it's simpler. I did the thing in Decaga where some prepositions take the accusative and some don't, and it just was like it's just a pain to deal with because I have to look it up every single time I use a postposition in Decaga, and I just don't want to deal with that. I have other things to worry about with this language, so I'm not going to worry about it. So let's let's actually do this. Let's actually say that let's say that this is the way that it works. So I'm gonna have this as an example. Like the same root has two different paradigms depending on whether it means body or corpse, because corpse is inanimate, right? So we end up with this. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I'm just gonna also have something. Okay, that's something I'll have to have fixed between streams, apparently. Okay, so let's let's actually move on, because that's about all the choices I'm going to make on nouns at this point. As I go through, I plan on going and doing more with the nouns on an individual basis, because I'll have now I probably should make like a checklist. for every time I'm adding a noun, actually. Checklist. Well, I'll have this under here. Wow. That's weird. Yeah. I'm just going to have that there. So let's go ahead and move on to our verb morphology. Just do... And we're going to go look up here. So we have tense, aspect, and mood. Now, we have a lot of forms to deal with here, right? We've got present, past, future, like, and we have two different past tenses, and we have an irrealis. Okay. First, I'm going to take an example verb, paradigm, and what see what we have here. And then we're going to get Lexergy up. Wait, what? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and export all of these since I was fixing bugs. All right. So let's actually do this way. What? So let's take a look here. Oh no, there's an error. Why? Okay, I thought that wasn't going to be an issue. I don't know. I don't know what the thumping is. So if we go to unstressed deletion. So anything that's not stressed and not long. deleted at the beginning of the word. So this is actually an edge case that I did not think about. I think what I will do to resolve this is and we'll do this. It has to be between a consonant and the end of a word. Let's not trace changes. And that should... Oh, I hate that. Um, and then we'll resyllabify after that. Okay, that's what happened here. Okay, so okay, so I get the okay. Well, I guess that works. I thought I was going to get a syllabic resonant there. I kind of actually want the syllabic um, it to be ba'apul instead of ba'apla. So I can do this and have it not sonorant. And that should make sure that yeah we still have ba'apul ba'apul. Right, there we go. I because I kind of want to have the syllabic consonant there. I didn't want to accidentally remove it. Okay. So let's export that just to make sure. Okay. Now we can get this and now what I'm looking for is potentially mergers happening in some situations. I am not okay. These are both the same originally. Yeah. So let's kind of go through class by class. So if we, or person by person works, right? So we'll start looking through the singulars. Okay. Ba, bafwa, baafa, pwa, baprufwa, baazifwa, jifwa, bahapwa. Yeah. So we're not having, there is a bafwa, bafu, 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 bafu. So this is slightly merging in dusk. Not so much in here, ba fu. Okay. This is interesting. Bae, fu. So this is interesting. So these are getting very close in the dusk dialect. If we were to like start going through, I think that would probably hold true in all cases. Yeah. You might have heard some thumping from my kids stomping around upstairs. Oh. Oh, I forgot to turn on Twitch. Hello, Twitch people. We have been working a little bit, but I forgot to turn on the stream there. I don't know if anybody's going to be on Twitch. But let's see. Whoops. Oh my gosh, what? Why is that even a thing? Oh, this is, I'm on the wrong Lexergy. I need to paste it in here. No. Okay, so hi Aaron, how you doing? Baetu. Itu. Baetu. Still the same thing happened here. Yeah, same pattern here. Now, this might be a little bit because of the particular verb that I'm using. So let's go ahead and change the verb root. So is cold, is that gonna have dwa? Okay, so we dwa, oh no, that's not a good example. Fake. Kutach. Let's try kutach. What happens here? Kutach. So oh, I keep getting the wrong. Okay. Kuschafu. Kuschafu. Okay, interesting. So we're not seeing this happen. Kuhakpu kuschafu. That one actually gets more different. So we're not going to have a phonological merger happening here. Oh, that would be that's nice, Aaron. I don't know if I'm going to do too much of inspiration stuff on this stage. For that, I'm kind of figuring out what falls out here. Um, so from what I am seeing, just from checking these things out, and I know I've taken a long time coming to this, is there's not really particular mergers happening um, between present indicative and the past imperfective. I was looking for those because it looked like with beaprut. Let's actually try this example to do right and see what happens with that one. To do put, right? Let's jump with that one. Right. Export that. Yeah. Okay, that I need to fix that. That raw. Yeah. This seems like a weird loophole in my rules that I need to fix. I think that works. And probably the same thing is going to happen the other way, so we'll just do the superscript to W. And we'll just copy this to all of them. Suzue, suju, sujufu, sujufu, Fou. Se fou, se fou. Yeah, so. But in any case, se, se fou, se fou, fou. I think we're pretty solid. Pre-verbal particles? That sounds interesting.
Daddy,
Yes?
where's Mulan's clothes?
You found her? I don't know where her clothes are.
Last night I found her clothes.
You found in the bathroom? In the drawer in the bathroom? Check it.
Did you leave it?
Okay. Um I could get some pre-verbal particles possibly.
Check in the same exact drawer.
Well, hold that thought, Aaron. Let me quickly check what happens here with class 5. Um, yeah. Souzou, souzoué, soujou, 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 souzoué, souzoué. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's just not enough changes to have any kind of phonological merger happen here. Séjour versus soujois. Soujois. Okay. We could have something extra happen here, maybe. But, okay. So, as far as I can tell, there's no like phonological things that'll happen that will like merge anything here. They're just different enough. So the question is, do any of these get lost just morphologically? The other thing we have is we've got particles here. So we've got 4 different So we have these particles, right? And all of these, I'm trying to remember how. Okay, it's down in verbal constructions. That's right. So, right. So, person is marked on both. So, the agreement is marked on both verbs. But tense, aspect, and mood is only marked on auxiliaries. This means that when we're up on the verbs, these these auxiliaries are still likely to stay auxiliaries because they are holding on to the tam marking. Okay? So we need to um, consider that. Now, we have this situation where we have four different aspects. We've got a bunch of different tenses, right? So let's map out. Let's, yeah, so go down to verbs and let's go. So actually, so I want to actually get like, what? And I'm calling these tenses even though there are there is a mood here just because I'm being simple. Okay. Day, dawn, dusk, night. Now, we want to think about whether some of these lose things, right? And also whether some of these meanings change. Um, let's go back here. Let's actually put the and then okay, so thinking about this, and then we have our modals, which we have a bunch of those. This is right. Okay. Now, let's start with these. I think that with the modals. So we have with these particles. So we have a remote tense, we have potential optative, obligative, imperative. Let's think about like how these will change. One thing I can think about is with modals is some modals may become prefixes. Because if you take a look at the verb construction, we always have the modal, then the auxiliary, then the matrix verb. And the auxiliary is already taking all of the tam marking, right? So if you have a structure like that, it does make a lot of sense for the modal to gradually get grammaticalized and get stuck onto the um, the either auxiliary or the main verb if there's no auxiliary, right? So we could end up with that. I'm thinking about a couple of things. Um, this is going to happen more often with like more frequent ones and with more like lighter ones. So the question we have is like how often do people use like a remote tense? How often do people use a potential? Potential is pretty common. Um, but it can be like useful. Also, some of these things will shift meaning, which is one thing that we're doing here. Um, let's run these through sound changes just to see what they would look like without any um, adjustments, right? So we're gonna go to our sound changes, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a full round of exports. And I need to update that stuff. Okay, so and I think I actually okay. If I can go back here and go to get the original sources for all of these. just so I can make sure that we get like I just want the stress marking and syllable marking. That's usta, and then we'll do that. Wait, what? Oh, apply. Here we go. Interesting. Uva, uva, ute, ute. Okay, these end up looking very similar, right? Uva, uva, ut. Okay, so actually, this feels like this will inform how how the meanings evolve a little bit, and how they evolve a little bit. So let's, as notes, I can I just I can't just okay. That's really annoying. I just want it to be in separate cells, please. That's oh, come on. That's not what I where I wanted anyway. Okay. Okay. And let's go do that for all of these. I switch to Come on. And grab the dusk one. So, we take a look at this. The G is very, very light, right? And then there is a difference in the tone, but I think the tone actually is always assigned the default because there's no. This is just because I have a single syllable that's stressed, right? I don't think it would receive a tone if it got stuck on. So I'm going to say that everybody turned this into a prefix, right? Hi, relaxing waterfalls. How are you doing? Oh, I just want to. I need to get the streamer bot chat up. Where's my? Where's my? So that became a prefix. This is pretty likely to be a prefix. I think at least in dusk it becomes a prefix. Wake. I'm going to say in dusk it becomes a prefix, and then I'm going to roll a d4. No, I don't want to roll for that one. I think that generally. Okay, this is going to be a prefix in these three. if it survives. I'm not entirely sure it will. And this remains distinct, but it might get lost in some of them. Oh, okay. Well, I will respect your new name. Do I want this one to become a prefix? I would, I think yes. I think dusk is very innovative, so we can make this a prefix too, but it may end up being lost entirely, or it may end up meaning something very different. I think that this is going to get lost in everybody but night. Well, I'm not sure if I want it to get lost in the day one. And then that also, there's an avenue for that to get reintroduced. I think it's lost in the twilight dialects, but day and night still preserve it. And then there's an avenue for that to re-enter the Koine from that. Now let's think about, what do these things end up meaning? This can just be, these can just be prefixes and everything. Now, imperative. P, pu, ku, ku. I feel like that can change. That can keep its meaning. Let's jump into um. I want. What I want is. And I want the other list. I want the target source list. I want the source target list. Right, okay. So let's take a look at. So what are we thinking about? So let's go. I don't know if they have remote. I don't think they have anything for remote tenses, but let's take a look at potential. Oh, okay. This is interesting. Can an obligative go to? Ooh, interesting. Okay. When it comes to meanings, this kind of thing, it can change into like an intent, right? So you could have a situation where this takes over as the obligative, and then this becomes like an intent sort of thing. Um, that's one option. It can also become like the future tense. We actually have a future indicative with a suffix, but it is entirely possible that we could lose that because future tenses can get lost pretty easy. Um, this present tense is gonna stay. So I'm going to have to think about that. We can also look at potentially ways that encausative and cessative can change if those are even in here. Like finish, okay. So iterative and habitual are very similar. Encausative and cessative can both sort of end up in like a perfective situation. Okay. Make sure you turn off the Bluetooth. Okay, now that I have the forms in front of me, there's something really interesting we can think about is these these end up looking very different, right? Um these end up ending up looking pretty different too, but not in the same way. Um, so something I'm thinking is to have the habitual go in different directions in the different dialects. And then when we come back to the Koine, they can like both versions can end up being stuck in. Um, and we can see how that works out. But I need to see like what can a habitual turn into. An iterative can become a habitual. And it also can come to mean still, as in I'm still doing this, right? But this doesn't have anything for what a habitual turns into. I suppose it could become like a progressive, but that's a little bit weird. I'm wondering if these should just be ha, ha, not ha. I think I accidentally went to an earlier version and messed up some things. Uvular. Why is that not happening? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Like maybe knight is conservative and keeps both of these. These end up looking very close. Maybe they get conflated. Pusa, pusa, pusa. Versus puja. Yeah, I think what happens here is this becomes habitual. And these two, and these get, do a strike through? But that doesn't happen in dusk. Dusk will actually lose this one. Yes. Okay, and then this is going to have an effect like in the Koine, like this form is going to get borrowed in as a habitual, and then influence from this, which is still iterative here, and this is still habitual. Is going to pull these back toward the iterative, but it'll be like funny, like sometimes it'll be habitual, sometimes it'll be iterative. And then we can work out exactly what that means when we get there. Now, the incursive and cessative. I really like this ha, ka, ka form. This one could become like more particle-like. Like lose its inflections and become like a particle. I'm wondering if this can become a secondary effect, perfective. I think the original perfective still, the original like preterite form still works. However, think this, it still retains encodative form here. Like it becomes like a particle in all cases. Here it's still more of an encodative, and the encodative means like you start something, right? And then this cessative, I think here becomes like a perfect. Now, perfect and perfective are different things. Okay, we are running late, so let's finish up. I need to get my most recent Lexergy downloads and put them in. So this middle fay. Okay. Before I go, I just want to mention, I have forgot to mention this before, but on the Patreon, I have a poll going. It's going to be a 2-week poll. For paying members about these elvish origins, and whether the high elves and the wood elves came from the same fairy court or from different fairy courts. So that's going to be relevant to how we develop the writing system, because the writing system is going to come through the elves. So it's a question of like if it's 1 step or 2 steps or what. So with that, I really need to go, but thank you all for watching and happy conlaying.